Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, A Crystal Addiction. If you're new to my channel, my name is Crystal. How are you? And hope you enjoyed your week and your last week and will enjoy the week coming up. I'm confused a little bit because I'm doing this video in the middle of the week, but of course I'm not going to load this video until Sunday. I'm off today because I kind of hurt my back and yeah, just wasn't feeling it today. Anyway, so if you've been following my story, you know where we left off. The court date and me walking out of that parenting class. That was a whole lot of bullshit. But let me tell you guys something. Now, if you've been watching my story, remember, and I told you, if you've been watching my story, the day, remember I called the donor's grandmother on that Thursday to talk to my kids. Her exact words were, the kids are up front with Ray. They went to the store, it's okay, they're good. Guess what, people? When I got the court documents, that day that I talked to that crazy heifer, my kids had already been gone. So she's sitting there fucking lying to me, knowing that once I come try to pick them up on Friday, they're not there and I can't get in contact with CPS. I swear it's like they had a book of lies and they were pulling from that book of lies. My kids had already been gone on that Thursday. They weren't even there. So she blatantly lied to me. So it looked like I didn't give a shit, because you would think if a parent knows their kid is gone, right, she's gonna call that next day, Friday morning. I should have been on it, but a girl didn't know, because they played me and they lied. They just lied to the book of lies. So here I am now, stuck seeing my kids every week for an hour at a McDonald's. So I'm pissed. So like I said, now I moved back down to Pisces' house, and the donor's grandmother, she was shook, because I would see her peeking out her window and I would just look at her and stare and do like gunshots, like, bitch, I want to fucking kill you. Sorry for the language. I'm just saying everything that I said. So I'll try to calm down on it and use some other words. But yeah, I wanted to kill her. I would see her close the curtain. Yeah, bitch, I see you looking at me. I see you looking out the curtain. And I know you had everything to do with it, because now I saw, once I started looking at the documents and the dates, none of the dates made any sense for what they were trying to say I did the ex-boyfriend did with my kid. Okay, so none of this shit makes sense. So now I'm just in a mess. I'm just getting high. I'm shooting up back to back, because I'm waiting to get to this next court date. So let me tell you how grimy people are. When I first started shooting heroin, I didn't know how to shoot myself. So either Pisces would do it for me. She would always be the one to do it for me, because I would only get high with her. Now, she also had a couple of brothers that lived in the house. As I said, they kind of had a big house, but you know, her brothers were dope fiends too. So this one time I had some dope and Pisces wasn't home. So I asked her brother we would say hit me, because I didn't know how to do it myself. So, you know, I had this thing, you know, in your first year going through shit and then going through drugs, you kind of you think you should trust certain people, and then you find out later, you know, they're dicks and they're assholes and they're just out for themselves, especially when it comes to dope fiends, especially old ass dope fiends. They ain't shit. So I didn't know how to cook it up and all that stuff. So that was shit people, you know, Pisces would do for me. So her brother cooks the shit up. Now I'm not watching him, but he drew up his portion, drew up my portion, but my portion had a whole bunch of water in it, some shit. But whatever he did, he shot me in my arm and I ended up getting an abscess. Now at the time I didn't know that's what an abscess was, because it just kept growing and it was hot. So I ended up going to the hospital after about maybe a week when I, you know, because I didn't know what that shit was. Like I said, I was a new addict. So went to the weekend, went to one of my friends his name was White Mike at the time. He and Pisces took me to the doctor and they lanced it, and I had to, they couldn't sew it up. So I literally had to keep stuffing it with gauze until it closed up. And I'll show you that scar. So, and this is kind of where I always wear long sleeves the majority of the time. I'll always wear a jacket. I'll always wear a throw over. I'm still very, very insecure about the track marks that's on my arm. Although they're very light, I'll show you my scars some other time, but although they're very light, they're still there. And I have this big mark on my arm for when I had to go into the hospital to get that cut open, another abscess through fiber. I'll show you all that shit. We'll get to that story later. So that's the type of grimy shit that I had to deal with, is being new. My first year of like getting high, it's just like I learned real quick about the game and about the streets. And although I had aunts and uncles who kind of lived that lifestyle, but I was never around it like that, to see how this game is played and how vicious people are. And the shitty thing that I found being out there during that time was the people that would harm me the most, or at least try to or attempt to, was always my people. My people were the most worthless fucking people, untrustworthy people out there when you're a heroin addict. I'm telling you the truth. Sorry, I'm racist against my own shit right now, because this is shit that I lived through. People purposely trying to hurt you because they don't give a shit, because they're dope fiends. And that was what I was doing. So at some point, I learned how to hit myself. And once I started learning how to hit myself, I wasn't sharing my shit with anybody but Pisces, period. I didn't hang around a whole bunch of dope fiends. I think when I first started, because I was so new at this shit and I was following Pisces, these heroin places were in the worst places. You'd have to go in the back of an alley to a little window and pull shit out a little window. And when I first started doing heroin, I would have a hard time getting it because I didn't look like a heroin addict. So I would literally have to pull up my sleeve and show them my track mark in order for them to believe that I was not 5-0 or undercover cop, because I was, like, first of all, like, I was new out here. They never really seen me before. So here's this person, and I kept myself up. I don't give a shit how sick I was, but I kept myself up, period, because I didn't. Now I had to hide. I had to hide in my mind that I wasn't a mother anymore. I had to hide the fact that I was a dope fiend. So, and I did all these cover-ups very, very well. Very, very well. It was maybe about a year and a half before my parents even knew that I was shooting dope. Like, they didn't know. You couldn't tell when I was high. And what happened when I started getting more into speedballs instead of just heroin, because, and if you don't know what a speedball is, it's heroin and cocaine mixed together. What I didn't like about heroin is I felt like I needed to stay alert. I didn't like the whole nodding thing. I didn't like that shit. So I would do more coke than heroin so I can stay in my mind even and leveled. That drug for me back then, and I'm only talking about that, I'm not glorifying this in any way. I would not glorify this drug because it's out there and it's killing people right now. But that drug gave me whatever personality I wanted to have. And that's why I was so in love with this drug. I didn't do that drug because it was fun. I did that drug because it took care of the pain and the hurt that I was dealing with, and it made me be able to go out in the world and face and communicate and be around people. I could tell you I had that personality that if I wasn't on this shit, I didn't want to be around people because I didn't know me. I didn't know how to be me. I had completely lost myself. The only self I knew was the crystal on heroin and on speedball. That was the girl I knew. That was the person who would just come alive and have no problems and just could just blend in any situation. That's the type of personality that I have, and I still have that personality, but still without freaking drugs. I don't have to do a speedball to fucking get the crazy personality. So now let's just go up. Now we're up to my next court date. And my mother comes down for this court date again. You know, my mother was, she would come down a few times and check on me, you know, because she had my little brother and she also had a job also. So she came down for the court date, and I remember my mother looking at me saying, wow, she just expected me to be crying. She says, you're really doing well. I really expected you to be just crying and everything, like, you know, like the last time. But what my mother didn't know was I had shot a speedball, so I was fine. In my mind, I was fine. I was able, my feelings were blocked. Let's just say that. My feelings were blocked. I had no feelings. I was just trying not to feel so I can get through this court date. So the lawyer was kind of a waste of fucking time. We ended up stopped using him after the second time because, I'm sorry, with CPS, if you don't do what they want you to do, because they totally brought up the fact that I walked out and stormed out and had an altercation, a yelling altercation at this parenting class. So they had an issue with that, and I was stubborn and I refused to go, and I told them I wasn't going to do it, and they couldn't make me do it, and I was not going to do it. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do that shit. You was not going to get me to sit in there with child molesters, not another day, another hour, another minute. Fucking wasn't happening. Wasn't happening. I was stubborn. I did not give two shits, but I should have. Because I was trying to get my kids back, but I wouldn't let my ego and my thoughts get me past that, because I couldn't handle what the hell I was hearing in these classes. I'm sorry, this was so new for me. This was not where I belong. So there was no way I was going to go back to this class and sit around with a bunch of damn child molesters telling me how they fucked somebody else's kid or their own. Sorry for the language, but I wasn't going to do it. So what the lawyer had told me, she calls, she's outside, it's like, okay, this is what you can do. She says, if you plead no contest, which she did not explain to me what that meant. I did not know that meant like guilty but not guilty. But anyway, me pleading no contest meant that my kids can go with the paternal grandparent, which would have been my mother. My mother had already said she would take the kids. She would take them to LA with her because she had a nice house, pool, everything. And I was just going to go to LA so I can, you know, I'm not going to leave her with my kids to take care of all those kids. I was just going to go to LA, right? And, but they didn't explain to me what that meant. So what that meant was I could not take it to trial once I did this. I couldn't take it to trial. But if I was to take it to trial, then my kids will continue to be where they were at with freaking strangers. And for me as a mom, I couldn't handle that. I'm like, I'd rather my kids be with my mom. That way I know that they're safe and I know they're taken care of and blah blah blah. So that was the plan. Of course, the system, you know, they have to go and check the house and do all these things. So we were totally hyped about that, and I was just like, okay, at least I get my kids back, my mother have them, and I'll just work on my other shit, you know, up there in LA while I'm with my mom, because at the time my mom was working for a law firm. So therefore, we would have figured some shit out on how to get my kids back without doing child molest rape classes. I wasn't going to do that shit. So the shitty thing that happened, and this is when you know these devils were involved in this bullshit. My mom had called me in tears, frantic, hysterical. CPS had came to my mother's door and accused my mother of giving my little 2-year-old brother fellatio. Lies from the book of lies. Who would say that shit? Who would say that shit? Them devils. Because they wanted my kids and they wanted that damn money, because he didn't have shit. He didn't have a pot to piss in. He didn't have shit. Because when his first wife died, he used all that money to spend on whores and cars and whatever the fuck he was doing. So he spent the money that she left him. She left all the kids like $10,000. She left all the kids money. She left them okay. And he did nothing but try to act like he was big boss hog. He didn't have shit, didn't know shit, uneducated fool. He didn't know shit. So with that being said, that happened, which then my mother said, I can't do this if this is the shit that, because she's already seen what happened to me. And then that kind of proved to my mom, look, the shit that you're hearing, it's all lies and it's all bullshit. So my mom already knew it was a bunch of bullshit, because now they're attacking her so they can block my mom from getting my babies. So ultimately, where do you think my kids went? Where the hell do you think they went? They went to that snake ass donor's daddy, and he treated them like shit. He treated them like slaves. I'm not making this up. And Lord, my baby's going to be home soon, and he's going to be able to tell you this. I just went to visit one of my kids. He's at Centinela Prison. And I was talking to him about my video and where I was at in my video. And my son said, Mom, he says, he says, I remember my ex-husband at the time, and we'll get to that, Jeff, picking you up and carrying you off. I had a visit with my kids where I had got to the point, and I'm going too fast, so I'm not going to tell you too much. So it got to a point where I was able to pick up my kids and bring them and have weekend visits unsupervised. Because once, at some point, and I'll tell you the story later, I got married to a man in the military, and the court system started to treat me differently because of that, in a better way. So I started getting weekend visits with my kids, and it was very consistent. I was always consistent when it came to visits and where I needed to be. I don't care how high I was, what I was on, I was always there, consistent there. I did not forget that shit. So one day I was going to pick up my kids, and as I'm going up to the door, I can hear, and excuse the language, this is what the donor's grandfather was calling my kids. He was calling them nasty motherfuckers and cursing at them, and I snapped. I started kicking the door. I started trying to break the window. I was trying to get at my kids. I said a whole bunch of shit. You gotta know it's a whole bunch of curse words. And that's when my ex-husband at the time picked me up and carried me out, because he's like, girl, you're gonna go to jail. You're gonna go to jail. You need to stop. But my baby, he remembers that. He remembers how cool they was. I mean, these fuckers would hit my kids with brooms. Who hits a kid with a broom? And my son also told me that the grandfather would tell them, because I would make complaints, but now I'm an addict. No one, although I'm military, but now they know that I'm an addict. So now I'm in a different part of the system. So who's going to believe an addict? But what he would tell the kids is, you tell the system that you don't want to go with your mom. They were scared. Like, my poor babies were always fucking terrified, but we ain't gonna stay on that too long. But anyway, that's what happened with my second court date. And this is why my mom did not get my kids, because of the fear of them taking my little brother. And I totally get it, because if they did it to me, they could have did it to her. And she just wasn't going for that. But that's the story for this one. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember, check me out on my Instagram, crystalphillip.52. Ain't doing shit. Maybe taking some pictures. My Facebook is Crystal Phillip. Just check me out. Share this video and like this video. Give me a thumbs up for this video. It will really help me to do nothing, because I don't have followers. And I don't give a shit, because this is for me. I'm so glad I have a great job, and I work with great people, and my life is set. So anything after this would just be a bonus in my life. My life is set, and I love my life, but I hate my pain. And I have to say this, my cousin Robin, hi Robin, you know I'm saying your name. She had told me, because we talk a lot. She says she's been watching my, she watches my videos, because she's always commenting. She said, you're so pretty. And I don't say that for people to just say, oh, you are. No, and I told her, I said, well, I don't see myself the way people see me. When I look in the mirror, and I'm being completely honest, I see pain and hurt. I can't see past my hurt and past my pain. My makeup covers my pain and my sadness. Sometimes I'm so fucking sad, my makeup feels like it's not on right, because I have this look and this feeling that I feel. I don't think I'm a dog or anything, but I definitely don't see myself the way a lot of people see me, because I still carry a lot of hurt and pain. So that's what I see when I look in the mirror, is hurt and pain. But anyway, thank you. These are my thoughts. That was the end of that shit. Check me out next week. I don't know what I'm gonna name my video for next week. But by the time I do have the, by the time I get to the end of this damn video, you'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see it. I'll put it up there. Don't know what it is going to be. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for supporting me. For those of you that do click in and give a shit about my stories, I love you. Like I say, don't be an asshole. Live your best life. Watch your kids. Hope you guys all voted. Of course, we vote for the same shit every year, so I don't even know why the fuck we keep doing it, because we literally vote for the same shit every year, with the exception with some new shit. Anyway, thank you guys. Bye. See you next week. See you guys next week for AIDS, Needles, and Crazy Auntie. Live your best life. Be good to someone and be good to yourself. Like I say at the end of my videos, which I haven't been saying lately, don't be an asshole. Catch me on my IG, crystalphillip.52. Ain't doing shit, but maybe taking some pictures. Love you guys. Peace.